In this lesson, we will be reviewing some of the English subject-verb agreement rules. Subject-verb agreement refers to the correspondence or the similarity in number between the subject and the verb of a sentence. As stated in the previous slide, subject-verb agreement refers to the similarity in number between the subject and the verb in a sentence. So therefore, the general rule to follow in order to ensure the agreement between the subject and the verb in an English sentence is this: plural subjects always take plural verbs, while singular subjects take singular verbs. However, there are of course some exemptions. In this lesson, a handful of rules will be discussed. Not all the rules in subject-verb agreement will be reviewed. Mistakes in subject-verb agreement are sometimes made in the following situations. First, mistakes are made when there are words in between the subject and the verb. Next, when there is a compound subject in a sentence. Third, when indefinite pronouns are used in place of nouns. Fourth, when the expression many a or many an is used. Fifth, when a noun is introduced by a fraction or percent. And lastly, when there is one positive and one negative subject in an English sentence. Okay, first, let us discuss the rule that involved the first confusing situation. Okay, words that come between the subject and the verb do not or should not change the agreement between the subject and its verb. To explain this rule, there are three example sentences. In the first sentence, the subject that should agree with the verb is the noun salt. The subject in the first sentence is not the plural word shakers. The phrase in the shakers is a phrase that is in between the subject salt and the verb needs. Since salt is a singular noun, it is a singular subject. Therefore, the verb need should also be in its singular form, and its singular form has to end with an S. Okay, that is why the verb is needs. In the second sentence, we have here two probable subjects. We have old chair and broken legs. Now the confusion comes in when we look at the number of these two nouns. Chair is singular while legs is plural. But according to the rule, the agreement between the subject and the verb must not change regardless of the words in between them. Now, in the second sentence, it is clear that the subject is the singular noun chair. Therefore, the verb needs to be singular as well. That is why our verb in the second sentence is has. In the third sentence, we also have here two nouns before the verb look. Okay, we have the words or the nouns fangs, which is plural, and the other noun mouth, which is singular. In the dog's mouth is a phrase that is in between the actual subject of the sentence and the verb. Since fangs is a plural noun, a plural subject, therefore its verb should also be plural. That is why our verb is look. Furthermore, parenthetical expressions or intervening words such as with, along with, together with, as well as, in addition to, including, and accompanied by, should not also change the agreement or should not also affect the agreement between the subject and its verb. Now, every time you see these intervening words, make sure to remember the rule, okay? The parenthetical expressions or these intervening words should not affect the relationship or the agreement between the subject and its verb. Let's take a look at the example sentence. It's quite long, so sometimes students find it difficult to remember what the subject of the sentence really is. The delightful climate, as well as the exotic places and wildlife in Palawan, accounts for its extensive tourist industry. Before the verb accounts, we are seeing in this sentence several nouns. We have the word climate, places, and wildlife. Okay? Now, if you would remember the rule, okay, the intervening word or the parenthetical expression as well marks, okay, it marks the part that is intervening or that is in between the actual subject and the verb. Okay, so tatandaan yan. So simply memorize these parenthetical expressions, and every time you see them, they will serve as a clue. Okay, so it's in the sentence, therefore this is a parenthetical expression that is in between the actual subject and its verb. Now that you have a clue, we can now therefore identify the real subject of the sentence. In this example, the subject is the word climate, and so it should agree with the verb. Climate is singular, so therefore our verb is singular as well, which is accounts. Let us move on to situation 2. If a sentence has compound subject, it means it has two subjects that are actually joined by the conjunction and. The rule is that it usually, okay, compound subject usually takes a plural verb. However, there are exemptions for this rule. Let us take a look at the examples. Okay, examples 1 and 2 clearly follows the rule that a compound subject should take a plural verb. Okay? However, examples 3 and 4 are the exemptions. Okay? So, it's easy to understand why Quilt and Bag would take a plural verb. Okay? As well as Clark and Lois taking a plural verb. Now, what about example number 3? Excellence and virtue is in our DNA. Well, example number 4, Ben and Holly is my kid's favorite cartoon. Okay, so what is the implication here? Okay, the exemption is that when a compound subject is taken as one, it is considered as one. You cannot separate the two. It means that you should use a singular verb instead of a plural verb. Or another example, puto and dinuguan is one of the favorites of Filipinos, or is one of the usual menu or offerings in a Filipino restaurant. Okay, so I hope you got that. So a compound subject does not always guarantee a plural verb, but it is usually the case. But when two subjects are considered as one, meaning you cannot separate them, then it should take a singular verb instead. Okay, let's continue discussing another rule concerning compound subjects. Now, in a sentence, in an English sentence, when you see either or, neither or neither, nor, not only but also, what do you call these? These are correlative conjunctions. When you see correlative conjunctions and they combine or connect subjects, then the rule is that the verb should agree with the subject closer to it. Okay? I repeat. the verb should agree with the subject closer to it whenever you see correlative conjunctions in an English sentence. Now, we have here two example sentences. So we have negotiator and leaders. Okay, neither the negotiator nor the union leaders want the strike to continue. Then the word negotiator or the subject negotiator is singular, while leaders is plural. If we are going to follow the rule, then the verb should agree with the subject leaders because it's the one closer to it. So since leaders is a plural subject, therefore our verb is as well plural. That's why the verb is want. The same case is in sentence number 2. Okay, so neither the director nor the writers of this film have ever received an Academy Award. So director is singular, but it is not the subject that is closest to the or closer to the verb. Therefore, we would instead make our verb agree with the word or with the subject writers, which is plural. The next situation is on the use of indefinite pronouns in place of nouns. Now, what are indefinite pronouns? Indefinite pronouns are words which replace nouns without specifying which noun they replace. Example indefinite pronouns are the ones you see in the slide. Singular indefinite pronouns are another, anybody, anyone, anything, each, either, everybody, everyone, everything, little, much, neither, nobody, no one, nothing, one, other, somebody, someone, and something. When these indefinite pronouns are used as subject in an English sentence, remember that they are singular, so therefore the verb that should follow it should also be singular. On the other hand, when the indefinite pronouns both, few, many, others, and several are used as subject in a sentence, then therefore their verb should also be plural. Indefinite pronouns all, any, more, most, none, some can be either singular and plural. And there is going to be a rule presented later for us to understand when to use a singular subject or a singular verb or a plural verb when these indefinite pronouns are used. Okay, so in this slide are example sentences that would help us understand how the indefinite pronouns affect the choice of or the number of verb. In the first sentence, we are seeing the indefinite pronoun each. Each is a singular indefinite pronoun. Now, since each is a singular indefinite pronoun, then therefore its verb should also be singular. That is why our verb in the first sentence is has. In the second and third sentences, we are seeing the indefinite pronoun all. And according to the previous slide, all may be either singular or plural. Now, if we are going to use the indefinite pronoun all, the verb would be referring to or would be basing on the noun that follows the of, the of phrase. Okay, so let's take a look at the second example sentence. All of the boys are clapping their hands. Now, the noun that comes after the of the phrase is the noun boys. Now, since boys is plural, therefore our verb in the second sentence is plural as well. In the second sentence, the noun that comes after the of the phrase is the noun newspaper, which is singular. Now, since newspaper is singular, then therefore our verb is singular as as well. The next situation involves the use of the fixed expression many a or many an. This expression is a more formal expression to replace the word many, okay, and it is much less common. It is usually used in literary writing and newspapers. It is used to indicate a large number of something. However, it takes, okay, after the many a or many an expression, what comes after it is a singular noun, which can be followed by a singular verb. Example sentence, many a politician. Okay, politician is in its singular form. So since many a should be followed by a singular noun, therefore the verb that follows it should also be singular. So in the sentence, the verb which is singular is has. The second to the last confusing situation that causes problems or errors in subject-verb agreement is the presence of fractions or percent in sentences. Now, this is the rule. When a noun is introduced by a fraction or percent, it may take either a singular or plural verb, and the number of the verb would be depending on the word that comes after the of the phrase. Okay, so again, the number of the verb in an English sentence when a fraction or percent is present would be depending on the word that comes after the of the phrase. Now we have here two examples. In the first example, the word that comes after the of the phrase is the word entries. Now since entries is a plural subject or a plural noun, then therefore the subject is plural as well. In the second sentence, the word that comes after the of the phrase is the word entry. Now since entry is singular, then the verb is also singular. We are already on to the last confusing situation that causes errors in subject-verb agreement. Okay, now when you have a positive and a negative subject in an English sentence, the verb always agrees with the affirmative or positive subject. We only have here one example. Diamonds, not gold, are mostly mined in Africa. So which of the two is the affirmative or positive subject? Is it the diamonds or the gold? Clearly, the affirmative subject is the word diamonds. And since diamonds is plural, then therefore the verb is also plural. This is the end of the presentation. Now, since other basic rules in subject-verb agreement are not included in this brief presentation, I am now highly recommending you to visit the provided website for you to see examples and for you to review the other basic rules on English subject-verb agreement. Thank you very much for your engagement in class. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. Please keep safe.